So I'm sitting here in Miami, where we measure crime rates by how many alligators are currently engaged in felonies, and I see this news. President Trump has deployed 800 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. to combat what he calls a crime emergency. The crime emergency? D.C. just hit a 30-year low in violent crime. I am not making this up. This is like deploying the Navy to fight a drought in the ocean, which, now that I think about it, Trump will probably announce next Tuesday. According to my research, which involved asking my neighbor Carl, who once visited D.C. in 1987, the whole thing started when a teenager nicknamed Big Balls got mugged. His real name is Edward Corristine, but he goes by Big Balls on LinkedIn because, and I quote, "People on LinkedIn take themselves super seriously." I'll pause here while you process that the federal government deployed military forces because someone named Big Balls got beat up by teenagers. This would be a great name for a band. Big Balls and the Teen Beatdown. Trump immediately declared August 11th Liberation Day in D.C., which confused everyone since the only thing D.C. needed liberating from was its dangerously low crime statistics. The mayor pointed out that violent crime is down 26% this year. Trump responded by sending more troops. It's like your doctor saying, "Good news, your cholesterol is perfect," and you responding by immediately eating 47 sticks of butter. Here's what kills me. The kid worked for something called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. So let me get this straight. The Department of Government Efficiency achieved peak efficiency by turning one mugging into a full military occupation. That's an 800-to-1 troop-to-crime ratio. At this rate, if someone jaywalks, we'll need to invade Canada. My research assistant, Kyle, who may or may not exist, calculated that, at current crime rates, each National Guard member will be responsible for protecting D.C. from 0.03 crimes. That's not even a whole crime. That's like a third of a crime. What are they supposed to do? Stop someone from thinking about shoplifting? The International Tech Stupidity Index, which I invented just now, rates this as a 9.7 out of 10, just below "that time Elon Musk fought a street" sign. But here's where it gets really stupid. Trump says he's doing this because D.C. is overrun with roving mobs of wild youth and drugged-out maniacs. Meanwhile, actual D.C. residents are like, the biggest threat here is tourists, asking where they can see the Constitution. True story. I once visited D.C. and the most dangerous thing I encountered was a very aggressive squirrel near the Lincoln Memorial. It wanted my sandwich. I gave it my sandwich. This is not the kind of crisis that requires military intervention. Unless we're declaring war on squirrels, which honestly wouldn't surprise me at this point. Even here in Florida, where we once called the National Guard because someone spotted what turned out to be a pool noodle that looked like a snake, we think this is excessive. Florida man, who just yesterday tried to pay for McDonald's with an alligator, looked at this news and said, "That seems unreasonable." The mayor of D.C. called it an authoritarian push, which is political speak for "What the actual hell is happening?" The D.C. Attorney General said, "There is no crime emergency in the District of Columbia," which is lawyer speak for, "Seriously, what the actual hell is happening?" But my favorite part, and this is 100% real, is that Trump plans to expand this to other cities. He specifically named Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Baltimore, and Oakland. Notice anything about those cities? They all have Democratic mayors. Also, none of them have alligators, which makes them automatically 73% safer than Florida. Statistical note, I made up that percentage, but it feels true, which in 2025 is basically the same as being true. The troops are being deployed for 30 days initially, which means each soldier will be fighting approximately 0 crimes. They'll basically be very expensive crossing guards. We could have achieved the same thing with a really stern-looking mannequin. My alert reader network, which consists of people who email me things like, "My toaster is plotting against me," has been sending theories about this all day. Gerald from Phoenix thinks it's a plan to militarize lawn care. Margaret from Tampa believes the National Guard is actually there to enforce proper monument viewing etiquette. Steve, from literally inside my walls, I should probably check on that, suggests this is all a viral marketing campaign for a new Call of Duty game. Here's my theory. Somebody in the administration was playing SimCity, accidentally clicked deploy all units, and now they're too embarrassed to admit it was a mistake. This is the governmental equivalent of sending thumbs up to your ex at 3 a.m. and then having to pretend you meant to do it. The Department of Government Efficiency has achieved something remarkable here. They've made government so efficient that one mugging now generates 800 military responses. At this rate of efficiency, if someone steals a candy bar, we'll have to activate NATO. Trump called this Liberation Day, liberating DC from the oppressive tyranny of being safe. Next week he'll probably liberate Miami from having too many beaches, or liberate Vermont from the crushing burden of maple syrup availability. The real victim in all this? Big balls, band name. The kid just wanted to make government more efficient, and he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. One assault, 800 troops. That's efficiency you can't buy. Well, actually you can buy it with taxpayer money, which is what we're doing. In conclusion, Washington, D.C., the city with the lowest crime rate in 3 decades, is now under military occupation because a teenager with an unfortunate nickname got mugged. This is like treating a paper cut with a heart transplant, or fixing a typo by burning down the library. The International Tech Stupidity Index has been updated. This is now a 10 out of 10. Even the squirrels think this is nuts.